wageni watatu, Mheshimiwa Sebastian Kapufi mbunge, ambao ni wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani. Wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani, karibuni sana. Tuna wageni watatu, Mheshimiwa Sebastian Kapufi mbunge, ambao ni wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani. Wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani, karibuni sana.
Container packed with supplies that need to make their way to families in Africa, like yesterday. You said this is a 53-foot trailer? This trailer is packed with medical supplies destined to the motherland. We need to help get these out of here.
Shalom, Salama, Siyemi, Shalom. Greetings to all my Israelite brothers and sisters from around the world. Whether you're of the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the house of Israel, or you are a Gentile grafted into the house under the blood of Yahusha HaMashiach. I welcome you this morning. We welcome you this morning. I'm about to bring on a guest. She is in the background. She's having some technical difficulties. So I need her, if she is listening, I've sent some messages. She needs to drop out the studio and then come right back on in. All right. There we go. Come back on in. When we get this thing started, so just to kind of give you some background. So usually on a daily basis, I'm talking to Brother Mike as we're coordinating things on the continent. I got up this morning working on some things. And after I was doing some stuff with Burkina Faso and interaction, it was about 4:30 in the morning. I said, well, let's see what's on YouTube. And, you know, lo and behold, this was the first clip that I was able to see. There we go. Shalom, Sister Shar.
Shalom, family. Shalom. Shalom, Brother Karis. Thank you for pulling me into this swirl.
Yeah, so we started to get into the swirl at about 6:55 this morning, Eastern Standard Time. But I'm gonna show just a few minutes. This is fair use. Fair use. Listen, we have to glean wisdom from everyone. And this wisdom, I said, oh my goodness. I don't really know who this man is, but I saw it. I said, let's just take a look. And the reason I was, I guess so, drawn to this is because literally we spoke about this yesterday to all of my 4 subscribers that were on. Thank you to my 4 subscribers. I appreciate it. I appreciate
Hilarious.
Oh, so let me go ahead. I'm going to play this video.
Together, we'll find a way to register our displeasure with the ICC, because if they'll do this to Israel, we're next. This group tried to come after our soldiers. Yeah, you can clap all you want to.
The International Criminal Court at The Hague has officially applied for arrest warrants for Israel's prime minister and defense minister, charging them with war crimes and crimes against humanity. This is absolutely historic, as was pointed out by the newswire Reuters. It cited a veteran war crimes prosecutor who said, quote, "This is a watershed event in the history of international justice. The ICC has never, in over 21 years of existence, indicted a Western official. Indeed, no international tribunal since Nuremberg after World War II has done so. In fact, until 2016, only Africans had been tried at the ICC, and that's why many African leaders condemned it as essentially a colonial institution. The current prosecutor of the ICC revealed in an interview on CNN that Western governments were pressuring him not to charge Israeli officials over their war crimes. And he said that a senior Western government official told him that the ICC was built for Africa and thugs like Putin, not the West. So here we can clearly see the double standards of the Western so-called democracies that boast about the so-called rules-based international order in which they made the rules and order everyone else around. And now that top U.S. allies in Israel are facing ICC charges, the Biden administration is openly threatening to impose sanctions on the ICC, which is exactly what the Donald Trump administration did. In fact, before the ICC prosecutor filed these arrest warrants against top Israeli officials, there were rumors going around that he was preparing to do so, and US government officials wrote an open letter threatening to invade The Hague if Israeli officials faced any consequences. I made a video about that, which I will link to in the description below. The US government passed a law back in 2002 that's known as the Hague Invasion Act, in which the US said that it will invade The Hague in the Netherlands and physically remove any US official or an official from a Western ally who faces charges at the ICC. And 20 years later, now US officials are bringing back this legislation and threatening once again to potentially invade The Hague to try to save Israeli officials from the consequences of their war crimes. And why is the US government so afraid? Because they know that if Israeli officials who are supported by the US are arrested and prosecuted for their crimes against humanity, the US government is directly complicit in those crimes. It is the US government that is giving Israel billions of dollars of weapons and military assistance that it's using to kill civilians in Gaza. It's the US government that is on the national stage vetoing resolution call for peace and a ceasefire. And in fact, a US senator admitted this openly. The Republican lawmaker Lindsey Graham let the cat out. And this May, in a Senate hearing, he said the quiet part loud and admitted that if Israel and Israeli officials are prosecuted for war crimes, we could be next.
Right. I'm going to stop sharing this. And we're going to move over to this one by First Post. I'm trying to give you some clarity, some context.
Let's turn to Israel now. The Western allies are deeply divided over what? The arrest warrant for Benjamin Netanyahu. The warrant has not been issued yet, but prosecutors at the ICC are asking for it. That's the International Criminal Court, the ICC. If issued, this warrant would put Western nations in a tough spot. Some of them do recognize the ICC, like France, Germany, and Italy. So technically, they must arrest Netanyahu on their soil. But the question is, will they? This is where the divisions emerge. France and Germany have supported the ICC, so have countries like Sweden and Denmark. They say rule of law must be followed. But the old Anglosphere gang is against it. I'm talking about Britain and the US. Joe Biden has already rejected the warrant bid, and now Rishi Sunak has joined in. The British Prime Minister says it's an unhelpful development.
Deeply unhelpful development. Of course, it's still subject to a final decision, but it remains deeply unhelpful nonetheless. There is no moral equivalence between a democratic state exercising its lawful right to self-defense and the terrorist group Hamas.
Live streaming can be tricky, and sometimes trying to find the right...
Sorry about the commercial.
It's not a problem for the US. They do not accept the ICC's jurisdiction, so warrants do not matter to them. In fact, US Republicans are looking to host Prime Minister Netanyahu. They want him to address the US Congress. But for the UK, it's different. They do accept the ICC's jurisdiction. So if a warrant is issued, they will face a tough choice. And Rishi Sunak may have rejected the warrant, but he's not taking on the ICC. He's choosing his words carefully. The US, though, is in full attack mode. Their Congress is considering punitive action against the International Criminal Court. In other words, they want sanctions. But any such move will need President Biden's support. Will the president give it? Top diplomat. This question, listen to his response.
We want to work with you on a bipartisan basis to find an appropriate response. I'm committed to doing that. As you say, the devil's in the details, so let's see what you got, and we can take it from there.
It's not a yes, but it's also not a no, and that is a worrying response from Blinken. He's talking about sanctioning a court, and not just any court, a global court recognized by more than 120 countries. It would be a very dangerous move, although not an unprecedented one. Let me take you back to 2002. The US Congress passed a similar legislation. It was nicknamed the Hague Invasion Act. The Hague is where the ICC is located. And what did this law say? That the US must use, and I'm quoting, any means necessary to free US leaders from the Hague. Suppose a US politician is arrested or a US general is being prosecuted, then Washington can even use force to free him. Hence the nickname, the Hague Invasion Act. So the US does have bad blood with the ICC, but this time it's a lot more complicated. For starters, the ICC is not prosecuting American leaders, they're chasing Israeli leaders. Secondly, many Americans agree with the warrant or the warrant bid. Let me show you what happened at a congressional hearing. Senator Lindsey Graham was speaking to Antony Blinken. He said if warrants are issued for Netanyahu, then US leaders would be next. Listen to how the crowd responded.
We, hopefully, together will find a way to register our displeasure with the ICC, because if they'll do this to Israel, we're next. This group tried to come after our soldiers. Yeah, you can clap all you want to.
They started clapping. It tells you what US public opinion is. And that should worry Benjamin Netanyahu. In the short run, this warrant bid could benefit him. Joe Biden is supporting him again. Even his domestic rivals have offered support. But what about the long run? Just look at the charges against Netanyahu. Starvation of civilians, intentional attack on civilians, and murder/extermination. These are crimes against humanity. If proven, it could further destroy Israel's credibility. It could make Israel a pariah. In fact, it's already happening. 3 European nations have decided to recognize Palestine as a country: Ireland, Spain, and Norway. The announcement was made today. It will be implemented on the 28th of May. Listen to how the Spanish leader justified his move.
And if one thing is clear to me, it is that Prime Minister Netanyahu has no peace project for Palestine. Fighting the terrorist group is legitimate and necessary after the events of October 7th. But Netanyahu is creating so much pain and so much destruction and so much rancor in Gaza and the rest of Palestine that the viability of two-state solution is in serious danger.
Does this change anything? On the ground, no. Palestine still doesn't have its own territory, so by extension, it's not a country. But politically, this is significant. It shows how isolated Israel is there, so Netanyahu is in no mood to climb down. But can he afford isolation? Carried out many crimes against humanity, but the US has a huge economy and a big, so no to isolate them. Israel cannot risk that. It's not America. Before, in Russia's context, a war is not just about military wins, it's also about political wins. Right now, Israel is winning on the battlefield, but it's losing the political war.
All righty. And I wanted to go here. Because there is an image that was played. There we go. All right, I'm going to share this one.
To act.
By the way, a quick point about that clip for people who are confused. When Lindsey Graham said that if they do this to Israel, we'll be next, and then people started clapping, obviously it was not senators who were clapping about that. It was actually protesters from the peace group Code Pink who were protesting at this event and accusing U.S. government officials of being complicit in the war crimes in Gaza. Now, there are...
All right. I'm going to stop sharing this. Sister Shar.
Man, this looks crazy.
Oh.
This looks crazy. Like we're literally sitting in the midst of history happening. This is crazy. Like I'm literally sitting here and I'm thinking about the timing of everything,
Yes.
including our most recent, anti-Semitic legislation trying to shut
Mhm.
down verbal, it's almost like we kind of see this coming. Let's get ahead of it, shut down public opinion, shut down dissenters, and
Mhm.
boom, now you have all of this. Yeah, wait, let me just go back to a part of one of the statements that had me tickled.
Mhm.
We have to choose our words carefully.
Mhm.
Right? So like now we're engaged in the lawyer speak, which is all right. We co-signed on this court when this court did our bidding.
Yep.
But now that this court is turning on our interest, it's not helpful. That was the other word. This is not helpful. Like, so the court's role is supposed to be helpful to what we say is helpful, and not
Mhm.
to not to enforce the rule of law. So I'm fascinated. Um, I I'm still processing all of this. I just want you to know it's mind blowing.
Yeah, I sprung this on Sister Shar early in the morning. And, this just kind of, when I saw that this morning, I said, I know what I'm talking about in the next couple of hours. And I was just kind of buzzing and buzzing. When the Most High like shows you something, you're like, oh, I get it. Oh, I get it. And let me tell you this. As we were discussing a lot of the intricacies, I mean, number one, you just saw it. The West believed that the ICC was only for Africa. Because why? Because they wanted to rule Africa via what? Shadowy talk. Via what? Policy. Via what? Courts. You can't say that. That's against the law because it'll be this or it'll be that. And if you notice, then there is a Hague Invasion Act. Did you know
That's
that?
crazy. That part right there was crazy. Like, wait.
By two
So
or three witnesses. I wanted to show that. By 2 or 3 witnesses. Look, that was 2 witnesses right there. And you can, and the third witnesses go on to Human Rights Watch. We're not making that up. That's right there. That's a UN thing. Which actually means you can still get prosecuted for war crimes. And when people are down, guess what? They get stomped down. They get trampled down. This is why the US is scared. This is why they're frightened.
man, this look crazy. It looks crazy. And it's like, it's like how we sit here in this country and we watch the way that policy is used to keep a foot on the necks of Black folk. How these laws are used to perpetuate constitutional slavery.
Mm.
But then when the tides turn and people outside of the African American community are impacted as negatively as the Black community here in the United States has been impacted by the judicial system. Now the drug epidemic, it's not a crime anymore. Now it's a mental health crisis. Now
Mhm.
it's an epidemic. Like there's always a changing of terms when the rule of law is not helpful. Like that not helpful.
Zechariah
It's
11:5. That's Zechariah 11:5. Behold, we hold ourselves not guilty. Right? You're guilty, but we're not.
and when the law is not helpful to us, we will pass another law that empowers us to do a jailbreak. Like, is this really what we're doing here, people?
That is exactly what they're doing.
It's a jailbreak. Like, we got to go. We got to go get our people. And then the other thing, right? What was the question that you asked me that dragged me into this swirl? So, Brother Michael and Brother Karis calling here with the Tanzanian stuff this morning. And out of nowhere, here's Brother Karis with this question. What was the question, Brother Karis? The child abuse analogy.
I said this. I said, if you hand a belt to a parent that's abusing your child or their child, and then the police come, I said, doesn't the parent abuse, and that's lending aid to that abuse, aren't they culpable? Can you repeat that again?
Culpable. It's no different. It's no different than that. Culpability is the same as being the getaway driver when you're not the one who ran into the bank with the gun, but you drove off with the stuff.
This is what we brought down into the slippery slope of things. That's why when I said that is what you heard from Lindsey Graham. I brought this on up yesterday, and I said, the U.S. is really does supply to this genocidal action. Let's just be clear about it. And so, yeah, go ahead.
They rather conduct a jailbreak than to face culpability for international war crimes because you say what? They passed the belt?
Yep. Because now they know they're on the hot seat. And I said this is what we went into, and this world was like pure, was not, Sister Shaw, into this pure gold. I said, oh my, I was running around the apartment. I said, I said, And Brother Mike was like, Karish, they're going to do a white circle on you. They're going to be a live stream. I said, I know, but I'm going to go into it.
Yeah, if you start
let's unite Africa and come now. Probably in the next 30 years, this is going to get shut way down. I'm just letting you know. Thank you to my 4 supportive viewers. I appreciate it. Oh, but Sister Shaw, go ahead. Just give them a preview of how that thing went into action. The formula, right? What was that formula I was saying? Did I lose you, Sister Shaw? All right. Sometimes I lose Sister Shaw. All right. But I'll preface the formula. In order for a prosecutorial action to occur with the complaint, this is what they're fighting the complaint made. Is our technically. Now there's a prosecutorial action that's occurring. That is the warrant. That prosecutorial action then incurs an executive action that to be prosecuted. That is with a military or security force. Remember, I don't know if folks understood this. ISAF, it was International Security Assistance Force. Back in the day, ISAF was utilized for Saddam Hussein to prosecute the action of what? Of bringing him to what? Justice.
Because it was helpful.
Yeah, because it was helpful. And so now, think about this. I said, and so now you understand that in order for that prosecutorial action to occur, there is going to be a UN security vote. And guess what? That's where the US is going to lose because why? Because they're culpable. They're culpable. I cannot on you. So therefore, we're bringing to this action for this official vote. You're going to do what you're going to do because of your role in this. And therefore, we're going to have all those folks that love justice, right? That love rule of law, all the things that you claim and say but don't do, and your hypocrisy is showing, you're going to be left out there in the wind. Do you see what's happening? And
Yes.
oh my goodness. Go ahead, Sister Shaw. Go ahead.
So it's a couple of things happening. So the live stream is messing up. I'm getting knocked off. Like, but Brother Michael warned you that this is what was going to happen when we hopped on here and we had this conversation. I want to remind you, Brother Karis, our conversation when South Africa filed its complaint.
Oh, yes.
That we discussed the culpability of the United States at that time.
Yes. This was all of the prosecutorial actions occurring. We knew that we were about to get to this moment, and they knew that they're about to get to this moment. The thing that's so crazy about this is because you just had what Lindsey Graham said that came out of his mouth. That shows there's a real fear. There is a real fear that's there. Now, when I had explained this to Sister Shaw, I said, this is what's getting ready to happen. Remember, Russia's already kind of discredited. They're out and about with Ukraine. And so I said, they wanted to neutralize China, but that's not going to really work. And they can't really discredit China because they get their goods from China. I said, so what you're seeing here is that China is going to then rally the cause. Watch. Because why? And then we went into this tremendous swirl.
And that's what I'm asking. I'm asking for the family to benefit from the swirl that still has, like, I'm telling you, it's blowing my mind. But I'm taking a seat as a student of international relations here. When I started asking you, right? Okay, set this up like a chessboard for me so I can understand, right? So who is the king piece on the side that represents the United States and Israel's relationship? And what was your answer?
And I said it was Rome. I said it was Rome.
And how did you characterize the United States and Israel with that side of the board?
I said this. I said Israel was the bishop. And you have the UK, you have France, and you have the US. The US is the rook. The UK and France are their castles. All of the other Western nations, they're the pawn pieces to go out in front.
All right. Now that hit my understanding real hard when you said the US is the rook. Now, please set up the other side of the chessboard. Who is the king piece on the other side of this game?
Oh man. Okay, so I said this. I said the king piece on this side on the other side of the game. I said, is this? I said, it's Rome. Yo, Sister Shar was like, what? Break it down, Karis. I said, China is the queen in this particular instance. But you have Russia as a bishop. You have then Iran and North Korea as rooks. And then they're being flanked by other countries. In this one, India and South Africa as the castles, with all the other BRICS nations coming in as the pawns. That blew Sister Shar's mind.
I'm still recovering because it's hitting prophetically, Brother Karis. It's hitting prophetically.
Okay, so she was said, so explain this. I said, think about this. I said, we know who's orchestrating all the pieces on the chessboard. It's the Most High. But the Most High is going to take out, right, the main pieces. And when you take out the main pieces, it's still Rome. Why is the king never killed in chess? What happens? The king lays down, and they lay down, and it's what? Checkmate. So what happens? You still have pieces on the chessboard. And what do those pieces do? In the middle, at the end of the war, technically speaking, guess what? It's all recouped. And then as it's recouped, guess what? And this is what blew Sister Shar's mind. I said, what do we always think of? We think that these two iron legs, we didn't even realize what they were looking like. Remember, it's do you want to say this?
Brother,
go ahead, go. You can say that.
Because we have to keep this piece in, right? The iron legs, and you, Red, and I, we like to make these references to Game of Thrones. Rome represents the Iron Bank, and they were showing us that Rome plays both sides as a bank.
Because what happened last September and October? Rome put out the call to bring in their treasuries worldwide. Because why? It's still a principality. It's still a system. It's still governed by flesh. There's still man-made decisions. There's, even though the man-made decisions, it's still the Most High that's shaping and doing everything for his glory. And what is Rome trying to do? They're trying to figure out, okay, who is the next benefactor of this kingdom? How does this kingdom do what? How is this kingdom going to function, right? They want to win on both sides. And what you're going to have, the model of Eurocentric Christianity has always been this. The model of Eurocentric Christianity has been this. Remember, it's an antichrist, right? One world system, one world government. And, we were just breaking this down, right? Nebuchadnezzar. We were breaking it down. Sister Gates Holder brought this on up. So shout out to Sister Gates Holder. Babylon was at its strongest at the head of gold, which was Nebuchadnezzar. And then it started fracture, and you had the split, two islands, which was the east and the west. And then you had another split down to what? The 10-toe kingdom. You don't have 10 toes on one foot. You have 5 toes per foot. There was always a fracture piece to this. There was never a piece of, hey, it's all going to be encompassed and wrapped up in the Antichrist. No, we've just been dealing with the spirit of the Antichrist. But that one world government was always a fractured system. It was always a fractured component.
Yes.
And so now when we were breaking this down, I don't know who brought that on up about Africa.
Okay, so here's where we started, because we got to go back to the original conversation. Because I'm telling you, they messing with the live stream.
I know they are.
All right, am I back clearly?
Yes, you are.
All right. So we have to reconstruct this conversation that came out of nowhere with you and Brother Michael this morning. So we understand, because of our relationship with our book and our prophecies, what's going to happen on this side of the game, because the whore is going down. We know this. So we began to talk about how Rome, or how the beast, how the system has to reorganize itself to keep the deception going. Right? We can't see Rome. Rome is the hidden hand. Rome always had been the hidden hand, the extension of the original Babylon world, one world power. But now that it's fractured, it has to keep the deception going. So then you were pointing out, okay, so I asked you, I said, Brother Karras, so after they take down these two on this side of the chess game, how is the board going to be reconfigured? How is it going to be reorganized?
Oh, yes. And I said, quite simply, you have Russia in the West and you have China in the East. And man, when Sister Shaw heard that, she said, oh my goodness. She said, that's exactly what they're doing to Africa. I said, oh boy.
There's a gentleman's agreement in Africa. Russia on the west, China on the east.
Wow.
And South Africa is the balance.
Yes. See, I had to think about this. Listen, how do you sift people away? Right? How do you take people away? Well, guess what? We were prisoners of war. And therefore, because of these systems that are here in that place, these systems will become irrelevant. And then it will be, well, they're going to be judged and adjudicated more fairly, because the same systems were doing what? They were causing wickedness, and they weren't being fair. They weren't doing this. They weren't. I said, wow, that's literally how we go back.
Their rule of law.
Bingo. It's their mechanisms. Because why? Because they're showing you their mechanisms only work for some and not for others. Oh, I'm telling you, they didn't want us to have this conversation. That's why I have my Cash App. I am petty like that. Look, I'm about to get shut down. Brother Karen's about to get shut down here.
Look,
I'll also let me do this. Look. You also donate at listen. We got to get this thing. We got to get this thing on out there. Look.
So we're getting together. Mm-hmm. Yes. QuestToUniteAfrica.org.
Mm-hmm.
We're gathering in the name of the Most High. We're gathering for His glory. We're coming together as His people. We're declaring our nationhood and He as our King. And so we're looking at this chess game And then we're understanding why we, as the witnesses, that was the part you brought out, Brother Karis,
Yes.
why we as the witnesses are absolutely obnoxious and why we're just sitting back watching it unfold and we're calling it according to the prophecies because God's word must come to pass. Like, we know this. So they're going to always scramble to keep the deception going. They've had us looking for a one world order the whole time the Iron Bank was playing both sides.
Yes. Yes. And what are they doing? What is the seed to their power? The continent. Where are they at? China's in the east. Russia's in the west. Why? Because what's going to be the system of control? The resources. Because why? Because now you have a system that has been shown to speak negatively and wickedly. And now this is going to be the most fair system ever. You know, that's what they'll brand it and label it. And, you know, we're here as guarantors so nobody can mess or take advantage or exploit Africa ever again. And I'm telling you, what do you always do as a tactic of warfare to keep someone down that you just defeated? Well, guess what you have to do? You have to start taking people away. You have people. You have to start weakening a population group so they never rise. We understand this. I don't care if you say that this is the promised land. It doesn't matter. You're about to start seeing this thing going on. Because if you didn't see that speech by Lindsey Graham, let me go ahead. I will put that here in the chat for you all so you can, on your leisure, watch what I watched. They know that they don't have much time left because the indictment is a pyramid and it's one step closer and one step closer to America's indictment. And once America is indicted, then guess what? All gloves are off. Oh, yeah, they're the key to my problem. They're my source of issues. They're my this. Look, all of a sudden, everybody's going to be coming out after America like America's R. Kelly.
Because America used its arm to enforce its power militarily. It used its hard power excessively and destroyed its own soft power. So these are y'all international relations folk. This is y'all language. Hard power and soft power being the diplomacy, goodwill, people actually liking you. The United States destroyed its own soft power globally with its hard power and its overextended military might. And now, I mean, I just heard yesterday Biden went to a commencement address here in Atlanta. It may have been Morehouse, and that graduating students from Morehouse turned their backs. They turned their seats around and turned their backs to him during his commencement address. The highest of disrespect.
Yep. Because now it's like this. The message is not resonating with the world anymore. Because why? How come the world sees this and gets this, but the U.S. can't? There's a problem. There is a problem.
It's pride.
Yep, their pride.
Pride will keep you from seeing. It's a blinding spirit.
Yes. They fooled themselves. And all we did was tell them, look, we would have healed Babylon, but she refused to be healed. And now, look, who are they going to run to? Who are they going to turn to? And let me tell you, this trade war that they've lost, they're going to start striking on out and striking to wherever, whomever they can. And maybe, I'm just saying, we don't know. This is basically speculatory. Maybe there are those, assassination plots that may be, I don't know, developed in terms of who was behind them. And that is going to be the key issue. I'm telling you, I'm seeing it, and I'm like, yo, they're setting up the case.
I mean, my thing is this. I think that the timing is very interesting that this criminal warrant is being requested. Then less than a week later, Iran's leader goes down. And then you turn around and then you have another Iranian intelligence person get unalived. Like, the timing of this is fascinating.
Yeah, we can see it, we understand it. And here's the thing. It's not that we see it and understand it. I told you, I said, once they begin to see it and once they begin to understand, it's panic mode. And I told you, that's why I showed you Lindsey Graham, fair use. It's panic mode. And when they start to cry out, I don't care on which side, I don't care if you're for or against, guess what you're doing? You're still speaking. You're still declaring. And guess what? Them loose lips are about to start stinking their own ships.
Yeah, because one of their biggest supported, the support bases, the evangelicals, they will not get up off of this deception that got handed down to all of us through Christianity about the 2 Niners. Like, it's like they are holding on to that thing.
Yeah.
Like, look, they're holding on to that one. Like, they can't see past it.
Yeah, they're going to go down with the ship. And we've been explaining that to them. You're going down with the ship because you can't, look, what is that? You just said that, Sister Shar. What happens when somebody's drowning? I'll let you tell that analogy.
Man, the danger of a drowning man and trying to save him is that he's panicking to the point where he's going to get y'all both drowned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's why I love the community chatter around all of these global events. Hey, Yasharal, that's not our fight. We're just sitting back eating popcorn off of this. We're watching everything play out exactly as the scripture said they would. We're here as a witness.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be trying to drag us into y'all mess. That ain't our fight.
We'll just throw you those little arm floaties, but you're gonna have to blow it up yourself. You're gonna have to put it on your arms yourself. Look, that's the extent of our help.
Our heart goes out to you. I mean, we don't like to see anybody take an L, but at
We
the
don't
end
want
of
to
the
see
day,
nobody drown. We're gonna at least like throw you something, but we can't, pull us on in there with you if we try to drag that rope. Nah, I can't do that. Dude.
We are not going down with that. No, we're over here minding our business. Well, look, y'all called us magical Negroes. It's because we know when to mind our business. We are watching this mess unfold.
Mm-hmm. All in the nick of time, too. All in the nick of time.
Man.
I'm telling you.
It's like watching.
Yeah, go ahead, Sister Shaw. Go ahead.
It's like watching a train wreck happening in slow motion. It's like, and then we're like sitting here like, don't y'all see this? They don't see it.
They can't see it. They can't see it. I'm like, man, I said they got some brain fog of the highest level. And it's really just demonic and sick. We can laugh about it, but just think how sickening that is, that you are literally seeing their downfall taking place right in front of our eyes. It truly is sad.
It is. I mean, like honestly, like
Really is.
I'm thinking about that little the little jailbreak law, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that any different than what they did January 20th? Wasn't
Nope.
it the same thing? When things are unhelpful, we will throw our muscle, we will fight to make it helpful, to make it what we want it to be. We will force it and we will break the law.
Mm. Yep.
Lawlessness.
I'm putting that in the chat. I'm putting that in the chat so y'all know by 2 or 3 witnesses. That's what I'm saying. Look, please support Quest Unite Africa right now because as we break down the demise of the West, your donations are going to really help when this platform gets shut down. Not a question of if, it's really now a question of when. Because, man, I'm telling you, here we go. We had shared in that earlier video. If you can see this is from rw.org, humanrightswatch.org. I just put that link in the chat. This is a law.
And
This
human
was
rights
from
is
August
the love
3rd,
language of the new
2002.
order.
Mm-hmm.
Human rights
Mm-hmm.
is the new, that's the new standard. Like there was the Constitution of the United States that kind of created the standard for democracy, right? That's what this last world order had been about. It had been about the advancement of democracy. And now you can see the transition over to human rights as the standard for the global
Mm,
order.
mm. See, we're just breaking down what they're saying, but we're giving it to you in the prophetic understanding. This is all prophecy. We're literally seeing everything happening. Oh, how does this place go down? I don't think it's going to go down. I could never see it go down. Now you're seeing it being brought down. I don't know what else to tell you, family. Now you're seeing this thing going down. No, it's never going to happen. It's happening right in front of your eyes. Oh, I can't see it. Look, they're so anxious on the ICC warrant that they're literally running scared here in the United States. And when you are fearful, guess what? Your mouth starts to open up. Why do you
They're
think?
shook.
Yeah, that. You know what that is? Literally, you know what that is? That's an interrogation practice. What do you always have? Well, you get sat in the room by yourself. They tell you, oh, you're in some real big trouble. And guess what? Because you've helped this person on out, you're in some real big trouble. Look. You see that? We're going to have to charge this person. So what are you going to do? And then they leave you alone, and then you see that this person's going to get indicted and everything else. Remember, that was the same thing that we saw with Michael Cohen with Trump. That dude said, I'm singing.
Mhm.
That dude said, I'm singing.
Brother Karis.
Yep.
So you have been saying this for a while, and it's starting to come clear in my understanding concerning our position as a people in light of international human rights.
Mm-hmm.
So if the war crimes is based on human rights violations, then where
Yes.
does that position us as a people internationally? You've been talking about this for a while.
We talked about this earlier, about 2 weeks ago. While I was in Burkina Faso, we literally were having the same conversation. Less than 2 weeks, or actually, it was less than 3 weeks ago. We had the same conversation. And what did I say then? I said there has to be international mechanisms that go on. And once those mechanisms happen, I said, then that's when the ICC will then hear the cases It's not one case. It's not two cases. Like dozens of cases that's actually been either suspended, on hold, that regards us.
Human rights violations.
We ain't paying no reparations. Y'all need to go back home. No, we're going to compel you. Why is that? Because they're getting ready to enter a war that they're about to lose. And they're doing it. Because why? Because they threw all of their money behind the prophetically losing horse.
The
do we all
prophetically
get this? Thank
losing.
you to my 4 subscribers. Thank you to my 4
prophetically
subscribers. Hallelujah. You know when it's like that's a bad bet. You already seen the bad bet. Like, yo, the horse done broke his leg a few days ago. The horse's leg ain't gonna heal, but you want to go behind that horse because you just have feelings. I feel that horse is gonna win. It's got my number. It's got my ticket. And then when they see that horse limping out the gate,
limping,
just limping out the gate, they're all right there looking at this horse limping. And we're looking at him like, yo, you losing all your money. You're losing your bet. You losing your house that you just mortgaged this bet.
Yeah, it's like this nation's role in the beast system is no longer useful. They messing with me again?
Mm-hmm.
Am I back?
Yeah. You're back now.
So the U.S. is no longer useful to the beast system, right? If we're going to have a prophetic swirl for real, family, the U.S. is no longer useful to the beast system. It's played its role in spreading a philosophy of false doctrine around the world with its missionaries and its military. And the mission accomplished. I'm gone.
No, that's me. That's me. I'm getting messed with. That's me. Go ahead.
Mission accomplished. You've spread the false gospel. You've subdued the nations with your might, and we'll take it over from here. Thank you very much. We're done with you.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. That's it. And you know, and we were saying this as we were explaining this earlier. Well, whoever comes out of Russia or whoever comes out of China, that Antichrist, we can't have an Antichrist, quote unquote. Well, I'll take the West and you'll take the East. Russia will have this dominance or dominion, and China will have this dominion. And guess what? They're still all working for the powers under that Babylonian system. That's how this 10-toe kingdom is literally getting ready to form. Oh, that prophetic swirl was hitting something hard this morning.
And
We can't
you
have
know,
an Antichrist. We're not going to be subjected to an Antichrist.
they have us looking for one person as the Antichrist.
And see, Russia and China do not have control over Africa, but they definitely have staked out their claims on the continent. Because why? We control Africa. That's what they're trying to say. We're going to be in control of Africa, and we're going to do it in a better system, in a better format, that everybody has human rights, that those that have come back from their captivity, from their enslavement, well, they can get back to, trying to get to the lands where they had been, trying to get back under their feet, and we're going to help them. Because why? Because they have been a failed byproduct of the West.
And that explains so much about the eviction of colonial powers out of West Africa by the military might of Russia.
Because think about that. As soon as everything goes, especially, I mean, it's kind of crazy, family, that we can be on the verge of seeing something happen and happening in like less than 2 or 3 weeks. Because folks are going to say, well, if that warrant was issued for this person, then you have to issue the warrant for this person, or else what good is there?
The getaway driver.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we swirled on that, and then seeing what Lindsey Graham was saying, I've never seen so much panic in my life.
But remember that one guy who was giving analysis about the World Court getting involved in making findings of human rights violations in Palestine. He was the one who was saying 2 months ago, 3 months ago, how that culpability would attach to the United States by virtue of the course of conduct between these two nations and the United States empowerment of the conduct of Israel. He was the guy who used that law, and I forget what case he brought, but he was the one who actually tested that international law and was and is in the position to give analysis on it. And it was him who suggested U.S. culpability under international law whenever Israel is found to have violated international law.
And if you didn't know, the one video I showed earlier, he was breaking on down, and so was First Post. They were breaking on down the amount of support that they had been given. They've been given material, military support. And no, this does play out. That is the plan of the Most High. Understand, what does Isaiah 60 say? Rise and shine. Just read Isaiah 60. Read Isaiah 11 and Isaiah 14. We're going to be fleeing, but I told you, we're going to be fleeing with some help.
It's like every trap that they set for us is now being sprung on them, because a part of their human rights violation towards us is their penal system. Like, it's disgusting.
And do you know that that is part of the Human Rights Watch issue with the Human Rights Council, the UN HRC? Oh my goodness.
This nation has the highest incarcerated population in the world, and more than 3/4 of that incarcerated population are our brothers, our men.
They played themselves. Now you understand why this is so. This is the catch-22 predicament that they played on out. They're not just going to go ahead they're not just going to go ahead and be like, we got to get rid of all of our cheap labor. And especially in a time where they're now counting on that cheap to free labor, or, cheap labor, almost free, 18 cents an hour, whatever they have it. It's too late.
It's too late. It's too much on the record showing their intention to keep our people perpetually in slavery as empowered by their own constitution, and they're criminalizing our poverty to keep us in a state of slavery. Like, I had a call from a brother that I grew up in church with several years ago. He reached out and told me that he had just gotten out of prison and explained to me that they were the ones, and this was a Texas prison, they were the ones, the prisoners, who made all of the state's furniture that were in courts and government buildings. Free labor. They were not compensated. Was it Brother Red telling us about a brother who said that he actually picked cotton while he was in the prison?
Yeah, that was on African Diaspora News Network. Yep.
There is so much of a record and a transcript of their human rights violations against Black folk. It cannot be denied. It cannot be covered up. And now that your best friend got on a charge.
Yeah, he caught a charge. He's about to catch a charge.
And your buddy caught a charge.
He caught a charge. He caught a They got that Rick Ross playing double that lives in their head. Rick Ross is living in their head. Caught a charge.
Man, your homie caught a charge for human rights violation. You were helping them. Oh, wait a minute now. Let's pull these cover back and look at your prison. Man,
he's not going to be. They're not going to be visiting him when he's in. Man, I'm staying on in there. You know they're going to come after me. I may not even make it up to jail. Nah, homie, you're on your own on that one.
Man, your homie caught a case.
Cause I got locked up. They won't let me out. They won't let me out. I'm locked up.
Man.
Tall the ICC. They won't let me out. ICJ, they won't let me out. HRC, they won't let me out now. Human rights got me spinning. I don't know what to do. Can't talk to the prison.
Man,
about to sue.
Who gonna put money on their books? Who gonna put money on their books, Brother K? Brother K.
Who's gonna put money on that commissary? Who do you go to with the commissary? Do you put it in yuan or do you put it in rubles? I'm trying to figure out how do you make that? How do you make that transfer?
They gonna take Bitcoin for their commissary. Like, who is gonna put money on their books?
Look, I'm trying to buy my man some proper slippers. How can I make sure that?
Man, this is crazy.
Oh my goodness! I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. This is what I'm saying. Look, we talked about this for like 30 minutes, and it was like, oh man, we got to bring this on the live. I'm telling you, when I woke up this morning, and when I saw them folks talking, I said, this is coming from white folks, and it's coming from Indian folks. Look, we've been saying this, and now they're saying, and now they got Lindsey Graham, and then they got their people.
And how the people started clapping, right? When they talked about the United States catching the case, and the people started clapping, but they came back with the explanation that, hey, this is who was clapping, some fringe group who really is just anti-American. Like, nah,
Yeah,
y'all.
yeah.
You destroyed your soft power bullying everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Yeah, because they understand what the implications are,
they know.
right? They know, look, because of what they're doing, they're getting ready to get thrust into a third world situation. That's what they're so afraid of. Man, you want to you want to have nightmares for white folks? Let me show you how the white folks' worst nightmare. You give them a black man's bank account. That's a nightmare. I made it into hell. Look at what he's got in his checking account. He ain't got nothing. What is this? God, I got bills to pay. Oh. Just take me, Father. Take me now.
Hilarious.
Oh. The tables are turning.
They are.
This. Thank you for my 4 subscribers. Man, I appreciate it. I told you, look, I said, look, our 4 subscribers are holding it down. They're holding the line. Rudd said that was a that was a Gideon moment. Our 4 subscribers holding the line. That was a Gideon moment.
It was.
I said, you two should be ashamed of itself. 4 subscribers. This was a time literally last year. Then they started to try to bring the numbers up. Oh, you only had like 290 people on the live. Like, man, the devil's a liar. Stop. These are really the numbers around 430 to about 450. This is it, family. And see, you had to understand, look, do you think that they're going to try and get this message on out or try to have people talk about this message? Absolutely not. This is a crusher to the West. This is a crusher to their system. And now you're starting to see how they're getting crushed. And it's a slow moving crush. Like when you put that car into the crushing machine there in the junkyard, that's what's happening to this thing. It's getting crushed and then it's getting ready to be sold for scraps. Getting ready to get melted down. And all is the mechanisms of it happening. And they're showing that right in front of our face. This is right in front of our faces. I don't know what to tell you. Here's another big one. I want to show this one. Oh, this is from Barron's. I'll go ahead. This is all fair use. Share this tab instead. Let me go ahead and get this here in the chat so you all can see this. Because if you didn't know, this is from Associated Free Press, AFP, and this is from Barron's. Let me get to this article to show you this. This is as of May 22nd, so this is as of yesterday. China holds Taiwan war games, vows blood of independence forces. China on Thursday encircled Taiwan with naval vessels and military aircraft and war games as it vowed the blood of independence forces on the self-ruled island would flow. The two drills are part of an that has been or that has seen it carry out a series of large-scale military exercises around Taiwan in recent years. The drills after Lei Ching-te was sworn in as Taiwan's new president this week and made an inauguration speech that China denounced as a confession of independence. Yes, family. Now you're going to start to see another front open up. And if you didn't understand what this does, it depletes the strength. You know, when you start to fight and you've been fighting and you've been fighting and fighting and fighting, do you know what actually happens to your body? Your body gets tired. Your body gets fatigued. Your body wears down. And I don't care how much fighting you've been doing. I don't care how strong you are. The more you fight, the more you're going to get worn down. This was the trap that was laid. That's what I've always said. I've said that here. If I said, all right, people may not appreciate what I'm saying, that's fine. But I said this. And I've always said this. Russia and China are in a coordinated effort to bring down the U.S. You're not going to fight all at once. They're going to fight via their proxies. They're going to do this and do that. But the more they get worn down, the harder it is. And that's what you're seeing right now at this very moment. And now these quote unquote pawns or proxy forces are now getting ready to be declared an enemy to society.
So, Brother Karras,
Yes.
remember we were talking about the dividing line between the West, right? So, when we were looking at the chessboard construct, you said that Russia was being positioned to rule the West, and then it made sense to me because I'm just not, you know, I'm learning these things, right? That Ukraine represents the space where they seize control of the West. So the West becomes the pawns.
Mm-hmm. That's correct. They're already falling into that trap. That's why, look, they're trying to run into Ukraine. They're just trying to make sure that they have, you know, that legal representation that they're not getting. Because now, how do you run into a place that you are trying to help on out, and yet you're about to be globally considered a pariah because you're helping out pariah nations?
They name like 3 or 4 Western nations who have already confirmed that they're down with the ICC, the criminal court warrant.
Yes,
Was
they
it
did.
Spain? Who were the nations?
Spain, Norway, and Ireland. And if you didn't know, in the article, one of the articles I was reading, Belgium and Slovenia are about to side with the other 3 countries. And there's going to be more, because why? Because I'm telling you, they're finding that they're about to throw off the system. Hey, I'd rather take my chances with this new system than fare with this old system that's losing control of the continent. Plain and simple. If you didn't know how war is fought, it's fought via economics and finances.
Wow. And Africa's in the middle of it all.
And Africa's in the middle of it all.
And I think that's a part of it that's heartbreaking for me is that how cleverly they've concealed the significance of Africa in the hearts and minds of the masses.
Mm-hmm.
Like even that Ray Dalio book that I dived into. I was recently introduced to Ray Dalio thanks to a video that Brother Red shared. Even how he characterized Africa's role in world history as he's talking about changing world orders, he literally glossed over Africa, with the exception of one West African civilization. Glossed over Africa's significance. This
Mm.
economist, this economist that works for the system. And like as you're like painting the picture here, Africa's in the middle. Russia's already positioned on West Africa. China's already positioned in East Africa,
Mm-hmm.
and they're dominating the whole board while the West is looking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what happened. And that's what's happening. If you don't understand and can't, if you're not considering what that means for that relationship there on the continent, oh, I have some news for you today. They are sitting and they're watching and they're waiting because those, let's just call it, those puppets that are there are afraid that their puppet masters are about to have their strings cut. It's a frightful time for them. And now, what do you think they're going to have to do? What do you think they're going to have to say? We have to position ourselves away from you all because we see that you're going down with the ship, and we can't. If I don't cut my ties right now, then I go down with the ship.
The drowning man trying to drown you. Nah, can't go down with
Exactly.
you. Because all of your moves right now, I mean, it looks like somebody who's winning the fight. I mean, who's losing the fight is starting to become desperate. Like, it looks like the guy, like, it's kind of like that game that obviously you already lost. So the crowd starts leaving so that they could get ahead of the traffic. Like, people
Yep.
have already started leaving the stadium.
And brother Asaph's neck of the woods. That's like, when Manchester City goes into Luton Town or Sheffield United, and it's already like 6-0 at the end of the first half. Go ahead, brother Asaph.
Wow, this is an incredible show. I saw Sister E last night as well, and she covered a bit of this as well. This is absolutely shocking. We didn't realize that we'd be at this stage so quickly.
Mm-mm.
Not at all. And the way how you have broken this thing down, it's like a guy with 4 PhDs in organizational behavior, economics, political science, international relations, and politics. It's and theology. It's absolutely fantastic. And this stream is actually legendary, and it's a shame that the powers that be has buffered it so much, because it brought out something more profoundly geopolitical and prophetic than any other thing on YouTube so far. And it's a shame we haven't got Elder Yakoba or Minister Teo in here, both of them in here. But I'm pretty certain that something will be coming from the both of them very shortly. Man, our Prime Minister has called early elections, which on July the 4th. I don't know if you heard about it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Is jumping ship real quick.
Yep. Why? Why?
and
Just like what
yeah.
we said, in less than 2 months, in less than 60 days. I'm saying in less than 6 weeks. Really, in less than 2 weeks. This is crazy. Go ahead,
So
Vanessa.
so whatever happens in the Hague, the new prime minister will have to bear responsibility for it, even though he had nothing to do with it, or his cabinet had nothing to do with it, because they're predicting a mammoth landslide for the opposition.
Mm-hmm. Oh my
So
goodness.
so it doesn't matter which way they turn now. They're in there. It's like they're in quicksand, and there's no one to pull them out.
Check. They are in check.
Yep, they're trying to make the moves while they're in check. And it's like check,
Yeah.
check, check. Oh my, wow.
A smart person now would be sitting down and saying, how can we make peace with the diaspora so that they can go over to Africa and speak to these people on our behalf? But it doesn't matter what happens now, they just cannot get out of this juxtaposition.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it just happened so suddenly, it's unreal.
Isn't the Most High incredible? Isn't it incredible to see how the Most High works, even when we're going through all of the craziness? Like we were just talking about this earlier, like, man, we're going through this, we're going through that. We have to work through this, we have to work through that. And then it was, well, let's just analyze what it is that we're seeing the Most High do. And then we realize that's what he's doing. There's unique synchronization that the Most High is doing for us.
Exactly.
It's a unique
For real,
synchronization. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just talking to my wife. We received well, I received some information that we need to start storing up food over here for 3 days. And
Mm-hmm.
I said to my wife, I know exactly what that means. That we're planning something in the background. Our government is planning to do something real stupid. If you understand what I mean, Karis. I think they're planning to make a move in Ukraine, and they're planning to put soldiers in there,
Mm-hmm.
and that will be a huge mistake, because what it means is that it will join the 4 carpenters together, and it will be the end of Europe.
Mm. Well, we knew that they're going to have to come to this moment. We knew that that moment was going to be here. Yeah, let me stop sharing this. My internet is acting up.
Of
My
course, it's
internet is
acting up
acting up.
here. I've got the fastest internet speed since last year. I got it because I noticed my internet was buffering when we were discussing certain subjects,
Mm-hmm.
but it's buffering like nobody's business. And I know that the powers that be are listening. And because
Mm-hmm.
these things are being broken down in such a way that is not in their favor, and they're saying that we've been 100% on point, whether we're in America, we're in France, or wherever we're dispersed, we're all on the same page. And now we realize who we are. It's causing them a lot of headache. I don't know how they're going to do this. I think they're going to start shutting channels down now. That's the only thing that they're going to come up with, something like, oh, we haven't got enough bandwidth because of the solar uh, streams or something like that that's coming in, or something's happened and we got to start cutting bandwidth, so we're going to close some of the channels down. But they're in trouble, and all we need to do is just sit down and just watch. It's got nothing to do with us. We've been involved in helping them out in every single situation that they found themselves in, and we're not going to help them no more. We're done. We just want to go home.
And that's what they're afraid of. They're afraid that, listen, we have lost all confidence and trust and hope. This has been one of the most eye-opening times for our people, especially our younger people. We are not trusting the system because now we've realized this system has never worked for us. And any help that we ask for goes over to us while they just spit in our faces.
I personally think that they know that.
That's what they do.
I think that they know that Judah's going to leave North America very soon, and that's the reason why they flooded the place like that. It's replacement.
Mm-hmm.
But rather than acknowledge that we are going to leave and they need to cough up, they need to pay up. They're bringing in the people first before everything goes down.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I believe. When I saw what was happening in Chicago, and they brought in the same exact amount of people from illegals from outside as there are Hebrews, I said to myself last night, it's not a war they're really looking for. They just want us out.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's looking like Babylon and Egypt now, where it's come to the time where they're going to tell us, look, you got to leave.
Absolutely. Destroying my life. This is unreal.
Yeah, because when we get together, in unity,
yeah, they're destroying this. This has been quite an amazing thing to look at, because that's what we broke down. That's the analysis. Listen, all I gotta say is pray about it. I ain't trying to convince you. I'm just breaking down what I see, what they're saying.
I'm thinking, what a discussion we're going to have when we're all regathered together around a huge campfire about what's happened in Babylon.
Absolutely.
This second Exodus is going to be greater. It is, and it's looking like it's shaping up so quickly.
Mm-hmm. Now they're going to try and do everything at once. They're now having cats dying from the bird, saying that you can't beef anymore because beef has this bird flu variant, and it's starting to get real crazy out here, especially in the West.
well, if you look at it, what makes this Exodus greater is that you now have this world power that, in ancient times for our ancestors, it was one country and one leader of a country. This one is, it's a coalition. Like the Most High is taking down a coalition to put respect back on his name.
Yeah. Not just a coalition. He's taking out a confederacy. A confederacy of nations.
The conspirators.
And I tell you, when we're back on that continent, when Judah's back on that continent, even the remnants that are left behind there are going to be in fear, because what they've put into them, that we're violent and we're warriors and so on. There's going to be so much fear, especially in the Nihilotic people who had a hand in selling us into slavery. It's going to be unreal. I'm just looking forward to see what's going to happen, and that's what's keeping me going day by day. The thought of going home, and I give thanks to Yah, because I never thought I'd see this happen so quickly. You know, when I was listening to you when I was in Turkey, and you gave the breakdown of what was going to happen, you know, in the future, and I was seeing it. I said probably this thing will take a lot longer to transpire, but it's happened so quickly, it's unreal. And what's made it so poignant is that the case was the case against people who have oppressed us came from South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And and what made it even stronger is that wasn't only Israelites that was presenting the case, it was Gentiles as well, all on one page. And there was
Yes,
no way that they could have gotten out of it.
exactly. You know, and what was going on? Remember, our people were like, "Oh, I don't see how this is going to help us. I don't understand. I don't get what this is going to really mean." And I'm trying to break this on down. Like, you're not understanding. This is a process of what's going on. I was trying to vaguely break it down just from what I could see at my little vantage point. You know, I
Yeah,
said yes. I said yes, even though it's specifically targeted and directed for the Palestinians. I said understand what that means because there is an inference, right? So if you have to say this with one, you can't just say it with one and not say it with the other. You can't have that. You just can't think that the scope is narrow, that everybody else doesn't get included. You can't have that. That's why when I said that this was one of the most important discussions that we will ever have, probably, right now, when you saw what Senator Lindsey Graham from out of South Carolina had said, that if they do the charge, it's not if they do, it's when the charges come out for Netanyahu, then the United States is in trouble because they can see how that progression looks.
And what they're
his hairstyle,
scrambling,
his
they're scram
hairstyle wasn't the same as it usually is. It looked very unkempt. Did
Mm-hmm.
you notice that?
Oh yeah.
they they're looking for
He's not
loopholes,
sleeping
but
so well, is he?
Nope.
he's not. And what tells us that they had not been able to find loopholes before is the fact that they passed that jailbreak legislation. When they realized that there was no wiggle room for them to find an exception. What do you mean you sanction a court? That's unheard of.
Yeah.
That is unheard of. And the issue is that their the way that they set up their justice system here in the United States, you can if you don't like the judge, you can try to get the judge to recuse themselves. But
Yes.
when you've set up an international court, you can't get rid of the judge. It's
Mm-mm.
only one court. So, like, their only play left is we're going to sanction you. We're going to stop funding you. And
Eh,
by the way, if you charge our homie, we're going to do a jailbreak.
That was pretty funny.
that's absolutely ridiculous. You see the same situation, that the same strategy that they've used for Africa, and the same systems that they've used, to bring African leaders to court, has now caught themselves in the same trap, and they don't know how to get out of it. And whenever their legal geniuses from would come to argue against the case, do you see how ridiculous they look? They cannot make no points of law, and they could not make no points of law during the hearing when they were defending themselves against the accusations from South Africa. And the lawyers that they hired, even the ones from the UK to defend themselves, have actually made themselves look very poor.
That is true. That is true. And the strategy of, deflect, deflect, deflect is it's not a sound strategy anymore. Because, their strategy was, you're not going to do anything to us. Because why? Because you're just going to wait on the US to bail us out. That's literally their strategy. And now they're scared because now they realize that they're about to drag the US in. So then what can they do after that one?
Isn't it
They
like the
can't do,
same
and
way?
you see that pontoon that they got there that they saved for aid. That's another scam as well, because definitely they've got boots on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't this the same way that they took down the mafia? Like for real? Like,
Yes.
piece by piece?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they're
Oh
hitting
yeah.
them with that international RICO.
Yes,
They're
it's an
hitting with the
international
international
RICO
RICO.
case. It is an international RICO.
They're getting the Gambino. They're getting man.
Dang, Don Corleone got. Like, this is how they took down criminal enterprise here in the
Mm-hmm.
United States.
They hit them with their own RICO laws on an international level.
Dang.
Man, yo. Man. I'm sorry. That's interesting.
Oops. Oops. They've been caught in their own net.
Yes, they have.
And also, we can see the Psalm 83 Confederacy very clearly, because none of the Arab countries, have stuck up for those people over in that sliver of land. All the fire has been coming from South Africa, and the European countries that have decided to jump ship, they're only jumping ship because they know that backing your government over there, over the pond over there, is a foolhardy enterprise, and they can see, based on their geopolitical analysis, that the United States is finished.
Oh, all I can say is, ain't nothing but an ICC party. Party. Don't. Ain't nothing but an ICC party. Nothing but an ICC party. It ain't nothing but a ICC party. So what you want
I
to back
wouldn't be
onto the
surprised
hay?
if they took this down.
Man, I want to know the bars on that one. Show enough. I got you, man. I'd like to know the bars on that one. So, homie, let's ride. If you're going to the Hague, I'm going to break it out, right? Oh my goodness.
What I want to know is what's going to be the financial system play, because all of this is about taking down the dollar.
Uh-huh. Well, what good do you have with the dollar if your dollar is tied up and then sanctioned
Right.
restitutive actions that then have to go to number one, Palestine, and then when that happens, then Africa's like, oh, hold up, we need some of that bread too. Don't think about what you had done to us over 400 years ago. Do we all see how these dominoes are falling?
Yeah, it's
Man.
terrible. But we knew that something was in the offing, because some countries said that they would not take the dollar for oil anymore. Do you remember
Yes.
that?
Yes.
So the knockout punch has been telegraphed a long time ago. And whether they go digital or whatever means they go, if your currency, which is built on faith, is not backed by anything, then you just cannot trade. And
Bingo.
unfortunately, we're in the UK. I'm not in any different position either, because we've got a massive jet to GDP as well. It's not really looking good, and the issue is that nobody's not interested in joining the army no more, and everybody is looking to get out. You know, I do a lot of walking around in the community and speak to people, and a lot of people say, oh, I'm getting out, I'm going to live elsewhere, I'm moving to Venezuela, I'm moving outside of Europe. You know, I'm getting a second passport. You know, I'm leaving with my kids to go somewhere where they can't be extradited because they don't see any future in the European system. It is getting bad.
Didn't we say that? Didn't we say the moment that we start to see them leave, the moment you start to realize how bad it is? Because again, they're not going to be the ones just up and telegraphing, hey, we're going to get up on out. No, that's not how they work. They work as they know what's happening, and then they're trying to bust out for the exits before everyone else. That's how that works.
I have a ridiculous proposition here, a legal hypothetical, because the criminal court warrant is about identifying an individual for war crimes. So although the United States would be implicated, who would be the person that they tack the case on to? Would it be Biden or would it be Trump?
Oh, that's going to be a good question.
Because they're working so hard to keep Trump from becoming president again. At least that's what it appears they're trying to do. It would be a great pivot to pin the tail on Trump.
Yeah, I think they're going. Yeah, you're right. Now go ahead. I see where you're going. Go ahead.
He was real buddy with BB.
Oh my goodness. Yep.
They even named an estate after Trump. Over there.
Yep.
A parcel of land was dedicated in his name over there. He was so buddy with BB. Like, if they really want to eliminate him from the presidential election,
they sure did.
you pin that charge on him. And wouldn't that spark off the Civil War?
Yeah, but
you know
but
what?
From an investigative standpoint, and from a policing standpoint, it would be much more difficult to pin the charge on him. But if you can, if you can prove co-conspiracy, you can pin the charge on all of them. You know, which is an easier route to go down, is to charge both of them, and then let the courts decide who's going to get off from the charge. But I don't see how the leadership is going to get out of it.
I agree that the conspiracy route would make more sense and get everybody to start snitching each other out. That would make more sense to pull everybody into the case. My question, though, becomes... that was a good point. That was a good point, Brother Asaph. Because then if you pull everyone in...
Because under European law and under British law, there's this law called joint enterprise, where if you got an indirect involvement in criminal activity, you can also be charged with the offense, even if someone else commits the offense, and then you got to prove that you're innocent, basically. Which I think is a possibility, is the best possibility if I was bringing the case.
Right.
And that's a RICO, and that may be whatever the same international equivalents that the ICC I'm going to say not may, I believe that's what they will build in. This is a buildup.
Yep, because when people see that their individual liberty is affected, their bank accounts can be seized, as a part of this whole web of wickedness, they're gonna start singing.
Yeah, because I'm looking at it from the perspective of dealing with a gang. And over there, over the pond there, you're looking at it from dealing with the perspective of your mafia laws,
And
which
here's the
which are quite similar.
so now here's legal precedence because Europe already has that legal precedence of what happened with Hitler and
Oh,
Nazi Germany.
definitely in The Hague.
What happened as a direct result? The whole German nation, the whole German country had to pay reparations.
That's right.
You get what I'm telling you? The whole that was collective punishment right there.
That's right.
And that is what they're sorely afraid of. See, all this stuff we're not making up. It's already had a precedence upon a precedence upon a precedence. You have to look deeper into what they're saying because they know what it is and how bad this thing can look. Don't
And
worry about trying to find a job. Your only job is to take that shovel and take that rock and start crushing. Your only job is to start moving materials on ships to send over to whomever to fulfill any type of international obligatory duties because you lost.
now watch this. What if the Caribbean and Latin America and Africa join together now to bring a human rights case against the United States and the other European countries for what they did to us after this?
You cut out on my end. I think it's my internet because I've been saying some things. YouTube's been hitting me up. Been hitting, man. YouTube's been breaking me down. Look, I've been hitting on some things, and you're absolutely right. What if this is a global South? Let's put it in this perspective. What if this is a global South charge? Well, I'm going to tell you, then other countries are going to say, we're going to get out the way and we're going to prove that it wasn't us. And guess what they're going to start doing? Amazingly, all of these documents and manuscripts and emails and all this other State Department cables to other foreign dignitaries, they're going to start being uncovered. That's how they do. These are their insurance policies. Man, hold on to this. This is a rainy day email. Hold on to that. This is a rainy day correspondence. Hold on. They're not dumb. They've seen this day getting ready to come. So they're going to be singing like, yeah. This day is quickly approaching. What do you think Spain is doing? What do you think Norway is doing? What do you think Ireland is doing? Don't pin that on us. This is their fault.
Why do you think England is fighting so hard to hold on to Julian Assange?
Yep.
Have you noticed that?
Yes.
That the courts are unwilling to give him up. Because if he starts singing like a canary and they've agreed not to unalive him, the picture could get even worse because he has secrets that he hasn't even let out yet.
And he could testify to those secrets at The Hague.
Exactly. So if you pacify him,
he would be their star witness. Yep, absolutely.
If you pacify him and give him British or Australian nationality and put him out the way, then that's a way to try and cover up. But I think it's way too late now because they've shot themselves in the foot and they've got no first aid and they've got no doctor to help them. Them two iron legs are about to be amputated.
Give me a 1 in the chat if you're able to hear Brother Asaph. Give me a 2 if you weren't. I'm telling you, they are literally tearing up my signal over here.
It's the same thing here as well.
Yes, yesterday, shout out to my 4 loyal subscribers.
Yeah, I saw that on the way when I was coming from work. You had 200 plus likes and only 8 people watching. That
Yes.
is ridiculous.
And now they're trying to mess with this signal, mess with this feed. I'm telling you, look, they don't remove one of my videos the other day. I get videos removed, family, like every day.
I'm not surprised if this one doesn't come down because too much has come out of it. Trust me, there's a lot of people that are on a blood pressure medication, antipsychotic medication, anti-anxiety medication because of what's coming out in our community. But they don't know how to contain it. And everything we have alluded to, it's not even coming out. It's not even transpiring in weeks. It's the next day. It's within hours. It's within minutes.
It's within hours now. Hasn't that been crazy? Within hours. We don't know what's going to get ready to happen on Friday. But I would probably say, strategically speaking, it would probably be better for the ICC to issue warrants on Friday. Because why? Because everybody's getting ready to do their what? Memorial Day weekend. Oh, I'm not going to worry about that. I got barbecues to do. I got cookouts to do. I got some grilling I got to worry about.
Yeah. I've got big circles going around on my smart TV at the moment. It's buffering like nobody's business. That's why I'm using the phone. And my laptop is buffering as well.
Yeah, we're all getting hit on. All getting hit on this stream. This is what, family, I'm telling you. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know how else to describe it. What a Memorial Day this would be. Exactly. What a Memorial Day this would be. Fort Living Room Homestead had said in the chat. And the one person described it on, the video we watched earlier. If you look at the live earlier, I put in some videos of of what we showed, and it came out of their mouths. This is something that it's one thing for us to just sit and speculate. This is why I want to make that clear. It's one thing for us to sit and speculate. We know what's happening, right? We can understand what's happening. But when they say what we've been saying and then they're validating, right? And they're then providing that substantiation of what we've been stating. Now it's like, oh wow, we knew that was happening, but for them to admit that's the big deal. That admittance.
It is. I'm wondering what's the sermon going to be, the Memorial Day sermon in the Evangelical Church around, this sacred cow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm tempted to go to church to see what they're going to preach about.
I know for real, right? Right? Listen. Oh, what is that sermon gonna be, man? They're about to make what is that? They're about to make brisket with our sacred cow. They're putting the sacred cow on the grill, low and slow. Pray, family. They got the A1 steak sauce for the sacred cow, and they said that's gonna be delicious.
Y'all grilling the sacred cow for Memorial Day. That is messed up. Yay!
Man.
Wow.
Let us pray for this the sacred cow over there in Israel that is undergoing persecution.
Mm, mm,
Yes,
mm.
persecution. That's going to be the talking point. That is
Yep.
going to be the talking point.
I can see them pulling out Joel 3 and verse 2.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And he's gonna plead for his people, Israel.
Oh, they
So
didn't realize the actual pleading. They didn't realize the actual argument that was going on. You know, they really need to be reading Obadiah 1, because that understanding, that wise men, that foolishness that they're under, now it's for
well,
Christians are seeing this.
if I can use a Jamaican profanity in English, those evangelicals are about to kiss their cloth goodbye.
Mm, mm. Well, they're going to lose their mind, and honestly, that is what it is. Here in the U.S., they're going to lose their mind because
We got them over here. One evangelical church that my mum used to go to, they used to dietify that orange freak you have over there,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
and they stood so firm by those people in that sliver of land. One lady asked me when I was out and about, this evangelical asked me, "What do I think of the situation over there in that sliver of land some months ago?" And when I quoted her Isaiah 49 verse 11 and 12 and Amos chapter 1 verse 6 and 7 and
Mm-hmm.
Zechariah 9 verse 5 about that place being flattened in that sliver of land, she said she didn't know that was in the Bible. But if you keep,
Exactly. Isn't that
but
crazy?
yeah, she didn't know the name of that place that was in the Bible. And I said, but if you keep reading the New Testament and listening to your pastor all the time and not reading the book, you're not going to know it. It's just like I can cast my mind back to when I was 15 in Jamaica, because I went to school in Jamaica and I became Tory champion. There were some evangelicals that came over from America, all European, and a lot of the questions that the quiz was in the Old Testament, and I answered everyone correctly and beat every single church in Jamaica. And they said to me that I need to study the New Testament more. And they were going to give me a scholarship. They promised me a scholarship to Harvard and whatever, but that never came through to study theology. But I thank the Most High that I never went anyway, because I continued studying by myself. And I blame Brother Yakoba and Pastor Darby. I woke up, and then everything started making sense to me. And from that, I could see that we were the people. And I was sitting down one Sabbath in my assembly, and one of my elders said to me, 7 years ago, I was telling my wife this, that a war is going to break out in Ukraine, and it's gonna spark the end of the Gentile season. And I said, this guy's talking a load of, you know what, because I wasn't really firmly in it, but I've seen everything now, and I don't know how long we got, but in a
Oh
short while
yeah.
now, I'm going to start packing my bug out bags. We don't even have insulin in the UK anymore. Did you
That's
know that?
horrible. That is horrible.
We got a
So you're
shortage of insulin. We got a shortage of insulin. We got a shortage. Yeah, you can check it out on the internet. We got a shortage of everything. You can't see a doctor.
wow.
You know, if we pay taxes, unlike you that pays private insurance, we pay insurance for our wages. And you can't get an appointment to see a doctor. There are long waiting lists for operations. It's unreal. But the Most High gave me insight when I became sick last year that I should start storing up stacks and stacks of insulin. And I've got insulin now to last me for months and months and months and months. And I'm not worried when we're going home because I know that I'm going to be healed anyway, so I'm not bothered. But we're not in a good position, my brother. I think.
No. Not only are we not in a good position, we're not in a good position even online, as they're messing up my internet connectivity with this this live stream. I'm telling you, family, please like, please share, please subscribe, get this word on out, because I'm going to tell you, there's some perspectives here that you all are going to have to discuss. There's some perspectives here that you all are going to have to get taken care of. Yeah, they don't kick Sister Shar out. Because why? Because this is our real numbers right here. 446, around 450 in the chat. Rather than our four faithful. Rather than our fourth faithful yesterday. Understand, look, they have to now mess with things because they know that we know that they're now exposed. They are exposed. And it wasn't us. It was their own system that exposed them. What does the word say? They'll try to look for the fault in Judah, but will not be able to find it. Sorry. I'm not going to just sit there and shut my mouth while I see the fire burning. Gentiles, I'm going to open up my mouth. Because there may be one or two Gentiles out of the thousands that may listen and repent and turn from their ways.
But you see, all the discussions that they're having, even in the Christian forums, on the forums in the places like Facebook and wherever, is that the law's been done away with. Hamashiach fulfilled the law, and the only law that you have to keep is to love your neighbor as yourself, which they've broken for thousands and thousands of years by keeping his children in captivity and changing their identity and turning them stupid and replacing them. But now that the Right Reverend Dr. Putin said that we're the people, you know, it's also put a cat amongst the pigeons.
Yeah. Moshe Yahoo said, remember Biden, let me be very clear, America stands with Israel. Yeah, let me tell you, man, I'm telling you, that international RICO's coming. That international RICO's coming. We ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. We can't be stopped now because we're ICC for life. We ain't. Man. I don't know what to say. How can you even say this any clearer? Matter of fact, there's some things you just don't say. Just let them say it. Let them say it and watch the popcorn and pop the popcorn. That's what I do. I'm like, for real? Yes, for real. That's what they do. And man, they did their thing gloriously. I don't even know how else to tell you. They did it gloriously. What did I say on this channel, family? Just watch and just see.
Yeah,
That's it.
I'd pay good money for Sister Chantel to be in here. I wonder where she is.
She's trying to pack her family up because she sees the inevitable happening.
She's probably halfway to the continent by now.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is, you know, we shouldn't, it's not a laughing matter. It really isn't. It's just, listen, take heart that things are happening. It really is. And the way things are happening, it's very profound. This is going to be a very hot summer in the United States because everybody is going to try to detach themselves as I'm not the person, they are. I'm not the person, they are. Do you see what's going to end up happening? They're going to start to get split apart by the seams. Because why? We didn't even talk about this because let's talk about this. And, before I really get kicked out, because we got to talk about this.
Exactly. I would like to see what would happen. I like to say this. I would like to see Yakoba versus the president of the United States in a discussion about what they've done in the past and what they did need to do to fix it and to pay us reparations. I'd love to see that argument.
Well, here's the thing. And so I want to tell our people, right, what it is that we are literally looking at right now. Remember, I was telling you, right, look, you have an international RICO that's literally forming. A RICO is like a criminal racketeering, organized crime case. And that's what the ICC is really starting to present and ramp up its case. Because why? Because there is a figurehead to this RICO, and that's Netanyahu. So for them, this is what Lindsey Graham, that's the video I showed earlier, with the geoeconomic or geopolitical economic report channel and First Post. Lindsey Graham was on there stating, if they go after them, then we're next, basically paraphrasing. Quote.
That's exactly what he said.
What? Yeah, that's exactly what he said.
Word for word.
That I'm paraphrasing it. It was a little bit more elaborate. It was a little bit more broken down. And he gave some descriptive entities there, especially as it related to military operations.
Yeah, but have you seen that? It looks like, when we used to watch those old cowboy films, back in the day, when there was a notorious criminal and he was locked in jail and his gang came to break him out of jail. That's how America's looking at the moment on the international stage.
Yep, it's the Wild Bill Butch gang or something like that. Don't worry, partner. We're gonna break you on out. If the lawman comes to get you, we're gonna mess them up at Eagle Pass. Dun 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 dun. And then they're riding their horses. Oh my goodness. So what a lot of people can start to understand when they're talking about, here in the United States, Civil War, why is that discussion now being heard? Why did they, quote unquote, jazz up folks with the Civil War movie 2024? Why is there now once a week there's some sort of a Civil War spark and things of that nature? Because here's why. Because they understand that in this arena, it's literally self-cannibalization. Self-cannibalization. Why do you say that? Because, look, there's a sacrifice of some to do what? To control the many. That's how that goes. Why would you say that? What do you think happens? Let's just play this on out. Let's just do this thought exercise here. Let's speculate this. Let's thought exercise this. The ICC then says, hey, we have now X, Y, and Z that's now in the petition of the criminal complaint, and countries X, Y, and Z are attaching this, and they're calling forth UK, US, France, Germany, you name it, to be labeled or to be brought up in this conspiracy. Real simple. UK, France, Germany, they're all going to say it's the US's fault. And everybody's going to point their finger to the US, and they're going to say, hey, we were here on this strip of land because the US brought us here. It's their fault.
Definitely. And there's a discussion now that many of the people on that strip of land have dual or triple nationalities, and a lot of them will believe it. Did you hear that?
Yes, because they already have a lot of dual citizenship here in the United States. Yes, they do. So that's what I'm going to say. Let's get this thought exercise on out there. It's not a condemnation on anybody. It's not a anti thing. We're just having a thought exercise on this. So let's just say they even say, hey, we were brought here in 1948 because of them. And, we really didn't know what to do. We were brought here under false pretenses. We got lied to. So then everybody points the finger back to the U.S. The U.S. then knows, oh, crap, we're going to be in trouble. What do you think the U.S. does? It's not going to go after every single country, especially if you don't have any type of Western backing. Well, let me tell you, in this thought exercise, you're going to quickly see the U.S. pointing fingers at everybody. Wasn't my fault. It was their fault. Wasn't my fault. It was their fault. See this? We have that. See here? We have that. I'm not going to pay that debt, because what's going to end up happening? Folks are going to get sanctioned. What's going to end up happening? Folks are going to be found liable, and they're going to have to start paying things back to people. They don't like that. They do not like that. So what's going to end up happening? You're going to start seeing states say, we have to, in light of this current situation and the threat that it has, not just on our nation, but also as our state, in violation with, they're going to start throwing this administration and the federal system under the bus.
Yeah, because you have states that have legislation on the books that when the debt gets to a certain level, they're going to secede.
That's correct. Because how will the debt become so astronomically inclined? If you are put under a sanctioned program. How do you get put under a sanctioned program? Simply by a ICC ruling. Hey, it's your SWIFT, but you can't utilize your SWIFT because why? Because every transaction that you try to have, well, we have to seize it. Well, the more money that folks seize, the more gold that they have, the more assets that are out there, you're going to have to raise assets to do what? Because you lost assets. You're going to have to print because why? Because you lost something fungible. And when people see that and when states see that, we got to get up on out of here. You start to see potentially.
Exactly, but it's sad to say, but the power of your currency over there is backed by the military power, and that's what's keeping you, because you've got no reserves to pay anything, and there's not enough gold in the ground, to settle the amount of debt that America has already.
No, I would see this. I would see Florida and Texas trying to negotiate, with the Caribbean and South American countries. Same with California. I would see more than likely, northern countries starting to try to negotiate with either European countries or Canada, and potentially even, West. Because why? Because folks are going to try to be off. Look, now we can't do that. We're not there with them. That's their fault. That's their problem. I'm telling you, family, I'm just giving you why. I'm just giving you the thought exercise, and this is where we're at in this thought exercise.
Yeah, I'm hoping that you're racing to finish your PhD as quickly as you can. I'm saying that there are corners that you can cut to get the project done quickly. Get it done quickly, because I don't know how much time we got.
I don't know how much time we have either. And you know what, family? This isn't to scare people. I don't want to have people scared. This is not to scare people. But I want you to truly understand why they are scared. We had nothing to do with this. I mean, really, we wanted to help them. We wanted to help you. Part of the road to recovery was going to be paying reparations. But y'all didn't want to do that. No, we're never going to pay reparations. Pay reparations for what? I can't just do anything for black people. We can't just do anything for black people. Now you understand why that now is kicking them in the butt. I'm sure they're not happy about that soundbite. Here's evidence.
I'm pretty
Here's
certain
criminal
as well.
evidence. Go ahead, George. Go ahead. Go ahead,
I see the situation getting infinitesimally worse, because they have doubled down on their position, and even our prime minister, the one that's called the election, has said that he's not going to pay reparations or even consider it.
Yeah, they're going to go down with the ship. That's the whole thing. You have to understand, they're going down with the ship. So when people start to see, oh, this is how we got here, they're going to start getting mad at people. They're going to, you can't get mad at us because we told you, look, if you're treating us this way and you think you're going to treat the international community this way, you're going to run into problems. And they ran straight into the wall of problems called the ICC. I don't care what type of anti-Hague Act you have. I don't care. They'll call up armies to do what? To defend freedom and justice, right? To defend what? Rule of law, right? Well, it's the same people that says that they're for rule of law. However, they're against rule of law when it applies to them. Law is law, right? If you don't have law or fairness across the books, then is it really a law or is it really a dictated mandate? So now they told on themselves. Yeah, go ahead.
Our prime minister said what the ICCJ's ruling is not helpful. That's his exact words. So they expected that the whole world would just look at what was happening and do nothing. But I think the pain that they're experiencing has come from Africa, and they never expected it.
Exactly. They've lost their position in terms of their wealth position, right? If your wealth portfolio is now lacking, right? I don't care how many sanctions are being placed on a country. And if that country's saying, I don't care, your sanctions really aren't working, what's the problem? They have a better wealth position on the continent than the West. And the West knows it. So therefore, there's really not the sting when it comes to, the threats. It's not. There's, if you're trying to have a dog that's barking and the dog really has no teeth because the dog's like 15 years old and all the teeth done fell out, there's no bite. There's no worry. Oh, he's just going to slobber over me anyway. He's just going to try and gum things on up. And then when you realize that, then you just kind of play around with the dog, and you're like, "Look at this dog! Look how dumb he is. He's trying to do this. He can't even eat anything. He can't do anything."
You know, while you were speaking, you know, 2 Peter 3 verse 5 came to me about standing in the water and never coming to a knowledge of the truth.
Mm.
I don't know if you got your Bible to hand to read it. It's they're in the same position spiritually and the same position economically.
Yeah. Yeah. This was all going to start come, crashing down. This was all going to come. You said 2 Peter verse
3 and verse 5.
Yep. So let me just read this scripture. Starting at verse 1. This second epistle, beloved, I now write unto you, in both which I stir up your pure minds by way of remembrance. Oh, they don't like to remember things here. I'm just saying, that's the West. That ye may be mindful of the words which were spoken before by the holy prophets. Well, I don't need to worry about holy prophets because I don't read the Old Testament. And of the commandments of us, the apostles of the Lord and Savior, Yahushua HaMashiach, knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lust, their own laws. They don't have a standard. They tell you they don't have a standard. Every standard was done away with. Every law, statute, and commandment was done away with. And saying, where is the promise of his coming? Isn't that right now? They're going to be raptured out of this. For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. That's Jacoba. That's Jacoba right there. And this is 2 Peter 3, verse 5. For they willingly are ignorant of that by the word of Yah, the heavens were of old, and the earth standing out of the water and in the water. This is all done by the Most High's hand. This is all done by the Most High's hand.
They be done. They be finished. Proving that we are the people of the book.
Yep. It's all gonna it's all gonna come falling down. The house of cards, the dominoes, they're gonna be in check. Whatever game that they're trying to play, they've already been bested.
Oh man, it is really, 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 really bad.
They've all been bested. And again, I don't know what's going to take place in these next 24 to 48 hours. To me, this is going to be very interesting in terms of what is getting ready to happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if either yourself or Yakoba was on Shabbat with something breaking.
Yeah, more than likely. Because you have to understand, I'm going to tell you this. Once that goes into effect, this is why the U.S. is very, very mad. This is why the U.S. Look, once that goes into effect, it's now opening the door. It's open season. You all get this. It's open season, not just on the Eastern Mediterranean nation. It's open season on the West.
But the people that were clapping in the background in that hearing, they're just as crazy as the leadership that they got, because they're cheering for their own downfall.
They are, but you have to understand the element of this society, right? It's always a divide, right? It's always a divide. They're not really going to, be happy about their position or situation, but no, they want to be empowered based off of a divide in power. Yeah, they're just as crazy. If you see those one folks there in DC, they're just as crazy because they're constantly out there. It doesn't matter who they're protesting. It doesn't matter. That's the dichotomy of the two legs of iron. That's how that goes. But in this particular function, they don't realize that they're all going down on the same ship. They may be clapping about their, uh, quote unquote justice being, served. But guess what? Even when you lived in post Nazi Germany, post World War II Germany, you may have said, yeah, that's right, great. The regime is out. We can heal. What ended up happening? They didn't heal. Germany turned to what? East and West Germany. For how many decades? What, like 7, 8, or let's like 5 or 6 decades? And in that time, East Germany was paying back Russia and their enclave in the Soviet Union. West Germany was paying back the NATO countries and the United States. So when you see that model, understand this is going to end badly. When people say, oh, it's going to get better, I say, I beg to differ. Well, why do you say that? And then I bring out, this is the models. You tell me that this model is going to change. Yeah. How? Because we're different. Okay. Have you noticed that's their arrogancy, that's their pride, that they don't want to remember things? I can't remember that. You don't have to remember it. It's written down. Here, let's read it.
It happened a long time ago. Forget about it.
Bingo. Nope, they're going to use this and institute the same model. Oh, because it's going to be instituted on you all. Now you're in panic mode. I guess you would be. Now that you can see this coming, and this may come to a neighborhood near you, oh yeah. If I were in your position, I'd panic too. Let's start stocking up. We need to start prepping. Get your preps.
It's the same message everywhere, my brother. We've been told now that we need to start stocking up food and water for 3 days here.
Yep. And now your government is letting you know. Our government here will not let us know, because you want to know why the U.S. won't let the folks know? Because number one, there will be too much panic, and you'll have more people fighting each other, and then generally, and I'm gonna put this on out there, so people can get mad or whatever, how they do it, whatever. When you have things being stocked up, it's not that they're going to uniformly stock things up. That's not going to happen. Not here in the United States. They'll stock things up in their places. They'll stock things up in their zip codes that is predominantly coded for, their particular demographic areas. They called it food deserts here in the United States for a reason. So they'll have the capacity, and unfortunately, it's our people that would not be able to have access to that. Now, what that would do then is that would even provide more of a human rights issue, and then that would invite more and more NATO not NATO, but UN involvement, right? Hey, we may have to have a caretaker government. Look, we haven't even drilled down all the way into this. This would go about 4 or 5 hours of how this could be drilled down. You have a vulnerable population group. We know you have a vulnerable population group. Because why? Because now those cases that you had held up, now they're being attached to this case. Are we understanding this?
It's a situation where if the warrants are issued on over the weekend or even in the coming weeks, the United States and especially England can't get out of it. I don't know what they're going to do, but it's above my pay grade spiritually. You know, it's
Yeah,
up to y'all to deal with it.
here's what they're going to say. They're going to say, oh, it's no big deal. There's nothing there. It's just a nothing burger. You know, don't worry about it. The U.S. has no role to play. The U.S. won't get this. The U.S. won't get that. That's what they'll say. Don't worry about it. Then when everything plays on out, oh, well, the whole U.S. administration is being served on this. Oh, don't worry about it. It's nothing there. It's nothing here. And then when things are found liable, oh, don't worry about it. But all the while, when sanctions are placed on the U.S. and then people aren't able to get their products, what happened? They said everything was fine. Look, you have to understand, they're going to keep the American people, myself included, in a state of perpetual denial. Because why? It's not a big deal. Now, do you think that something's going to happen with this? No, because if you think something's going to happen, you're crazy. How did we get here to begin with? Well, it's just liberals. Oh, it's just conservatives. Family, if I'm lying, give me a 1 if I'm lying. Give me a 2 if I'm telling the truth. I have to say, I thank the Most High for this time because, honestly, I'm happy that He has been able to show us how for years, and that picture has
The
what
internet
we
is
are
is
seeing
going
and
in
what.
and out.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know. I'm dropping too many truth bombs today. Too many truth bombs. Because we're seeing how that picture portends. We're seeing how that picture is being developed. And as this thing is going, I mean, what can you say? What can you do? I didn't have anything to do with this. All I could say is, hey, I'm just telling you truth and peace. I'm saying it to Israelites and I'm saying it to Gentiles. One and the same. Don't say that Brother Karras discriminates.
And they
Brother
can't say
Karras does
it
not
here
discriminate.
either. You know, my wish is for every soul, regardless of ethnicity and race, to be saved and come to an
Mm-hmm.
accurate knowledge of the truth. That's my
Absolutely.
position.
Absolutely.
But we would have healed Babylon, but Babylon won't be healed. They refuse to
Yep.
be healed. And as such, their judgment is set in stone because they've decided to kick against Yah's people and to kick against Yah.
Absolutely. For our brothers and sisters that's waking up, understand that they're waking up into a far worse reality. Because let me tell you, you know how they don't like to be lied to? Well, let me tell you something about the European culture. They hate to be lied to. Am I correct in this, George? brother Asaph, since you're right there
Yes,
on the ground. You're right
yes,
there.
they hate to be lied to. And our people have been over here, you know, regardless of where they come from, have been worked over and raked over the coals where but religion, politics, and everything's concerned, you know, because even in this country, there's this infallible belief in the leadership and that everything will be okay. But they're seeing how the leadership has failed the people, and they've tried to suppress even the protests that are happening over here. It's just as bad as the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
And when that indictment comes, you know the protests are just gonna get even more and more incredible. It's gonna be
yeah,
crazy.
and it's going to be divisive as well because you have what you have. It's going to be polarizing because you got one side supporting the United States side and the government side, and another side supporting the other side. You know, but we don't have a dog in or horse in this race because it's nothing to do with us, because whenever we've taken sides and supported one side, we'll always come out at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nothing to do with us. You know, we're staying out of it and let the Most High do His work. It's like the situation with Gideon now. You know, we've prayed about it, and Yah has chosen his warriors who are prayer warriors and Torah warriors to go down into the battlefield, and all we have to do is keep praising and making as much noise as we're supposed to do, and watch them fight amongst themselves.
Yeah, literally. The what? Because what do we always say? Look, the battle belongs to Yahuwah. The battle belongs to him. We are just here to see our Heavenly Father do his thing. That's it. That's all we have been commanded to do, is to give him praise and to watch and to witness, so then we can tell our children and our children's children and our children's children's children, right? That's what we're here for. They're not going to stop anything that this word has already stated. They may hate it. They may ignore it. They may try to criminalize it, but it's not going to stop what the Most High is doing.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
it's too late now, because some of those people are saying that the New Testament and Revelation and all those books are anti, you know, but it's too late now. You know, it's miles too late, because even if they remove the book, between us, we could sit down and rewrite the book again from Genesis to Revelation.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we could.
Yeah, so it doesn't make any sense anymore.
Mm-hmm. Hallelujah. All right, thank you, brother Asaph. Final comments, because I gotta wrap this on up. We want to
Well,
visit 3 hours.
well,
Hallelujah. Go ahead.
well. I thank you for having me on the panel again. It's been a very interesting discussion, despite the interruptions that we've had. And I am encouraging everyone, including myself, to stay prayed up and be encouraged, because we have some trying times to come. But the Most High, He is riding out them horses of the end time and pouring out those vials and blowing those trumpets. So we haven't got very long to go, you know. And thank you very much, Brother Karis, for the work that you've been putting in, both on the channel and in QTUA. May the Most High Baruch you and every single person who has a channel, both over here and over the pond there, that's promoting the truth. And we hope to continue to hear from you until they decide to cut our channels. May
Hallelujah.
Yahuwah Baruch you. Toda Rabbah.
Hallelujah. Thank you, brother Asaph. All right. Well, family, thank you for my four faithful viewers. Amazing. It's 440 plus. You know, that was a challenge we had last or yesterday, and you have to understand. Look, you have these challenges because honestly, they don't like when we're opening up our mouths. They don't like when we're talking to one another. They certainly don't like when we're talking to our brothers and sisters on the continent. These are some hard days for them. These are some hard days for them. And you want to know why it's hard for them? Because they have to go through this struggle. They may smile at you and say everything's okay. They know it's not okay. I remember there was one year I was working, I was at CENTCOM at this time. And honestly, when I was married, I told my wife at the time, I said, honestly, I said, I gotta get out. I said, I'm so done. I'm so sick and frustrated. And the boss that I had, the immediate boss, she was a white lady. But man, listen, she made my life for about 5 months absolutely hell. I still remember her name. And I just kept saying, I said, Father, I said, why do I have to go through this? Like, I would always pretend that I'm in another place. Like, it was so bad that even other senior officers saw how bad it was because, it wasn't just me, it was two other white folks. These were white males, white men. And, they really didn't include me in things because I knew something was going on. But all I could do, man, I was just suffering. I was suffering. I was like, man, this is crazy. I was finishing up my master's at that time. I said, well, thank you, Father. I said, I thank you that I have to suffer. I said, I give you praise. I'm just suffering. I'm suffering. And then I get called into her office one day. And I mean, she would say some of the most just like rude and vulgar stuff. Like I just hated it. And I had complained to my boss. Something I just sat there. I said, I'm getting off of active duty. I said, I'm just going to go into the reserves. I said, I'm done with this. I said, whatever, I'll figure it out. I said, I'll figure it out. And I'll just let God be God, at that time. Let the Most High do what he needs to do. My boss's boss, she was on out there. She got caught in that fallout because she kind of allowed that stuff to happen. She got caught in that fallout because I said, I'm done. And I did all that. I said, find somebody else and said, I'm done with this. It was literally about 2 days later. Like as soon as I said I was done, 2 days later, they all gathered us together in the conference room. Everybody was there except for my boss and my boss's boss. a major and lieutenant colonel. I was just a first lieutenant at that time. And so I was wondering, I was like, man, what happened? Because all we got told was like, you need to go there. They were away because, you know, the office is always kind of in flux, just dealing with different things. And then we sat down and we saw the CENTCOM commander. And he sits down with us and he said, hey, no one should have to work in these crazy conditions. And I'm sorry that this happened. This is the CENTCOM commander saying this. And then under the CENTCOM commander is the chief of staff. And then I worked in the J5 at that time. So it's like all three of them, you know, you had their executive aides. Because they're getting the policy, you know, as they're speaking. And so he broke down everything. And, you know, I looked around and I'm kind of like looking at the two Air Force captains. One person was an IT cybersecurity captain. The other one was a pilot. And so after the whole thing, right? Like my countenance just like raised up. I'm like, hallelujah, you know, I'm like, I'm good. I said, but that just took a toll. It took a toll on me at that time. And then I that was like my last set of orders and I was done. Because honestly, right after that, like things broke apart. Some stuff went to SOCOM, some parts went to CENTCOM. I mean, it literally like totally fractured things. And it did cause actually an international incident. And I had said that. I said, I'm not going to have my name ruined because we have folks that, you know, they want to do some power plays. And that's all that was. It was just the stupidest power plays ever. And because I was witnessing that power play, all I could do was just be at the mercy of just stupid stuff. And I hated it. It took a toll on me. It took a toll on my family. I said, no, my quality of life is suffering. I said, I'm a reservist. Technically, I can quit anytime I want to. And I was actually getting ready to quit. I was getting ready to go to my reserve unit and be like, I just want to go back here, you know, in my actual, you know, job. And so it was funny because, you know, they pulled out the big guns because of all the craziness, because it went all the way to the top. Because it wasn't just affecting me, it was affecting all those other coalition officers. And I could see what they were doing. I was literally in there as I'm looking and witnessing U.S. policy, DOD policy, being torn to shreds. And I'm looking and I'm like, man, they are making enemies in front of my very own eyes. I'm like, what is this? See, you have to understand there's a lot of things that happen and that have happened behind the scenes to unravel things, to unravel the relationships, to unravel the soft power. And I was looking at that thing being unraveled in front of my eyes. And I was like, I got to get up out of here. This is not what I signed up for. This isn't even why I became an officer. I said, this is horrible. And it was funny because, you know, as I was making my complaints, I thought my complaints were just falling on deaf ears. And I was like, I'm out of here. It was the two Air Force captains. They pulled me aside afterwards and they said, hey, Copeland. They said, man, good on you for suffering through this nonsense. They said we couldn't really bring you in because of the proximity, because I had been there for a while and I kind of understood. They said, but you were there, you were witnessing all that stuff. We were typing it all out, and and everything was confirmed. That's why we had the IG inspection. Their careers were ruined. Their careers were ruined. The two female officers. And I said, thank you, Father, that I just had the sense to just shut up. Because sometimes we want to do things, but it's the Most High that tells us, quiet. And he truly does fight our battles. But the way that he fights our battles is that he will use others to fight our battles for us. Because the battle always belongs to him. You going to tell the Most High how he's supposed to fight our battles? Absolutely not. And so I had to look at that, and that the Most High just brought that to my remembrance, because this is the battle that's being fought. And all we have to do is just talk amongst ourselves and take notes. Because other nations are being used to fight on our behalf. That's scripture. And that's what we're seeing right now at this very moment, at this very age. And no one can tell me or anyone else any different. That's how we have an awesome Heavenly Father who loves his children. Don't worry, suffer through it, but guess what? I already got everything in hand. And that's what it feels like right now as we're suffering, as we're toiling through this. We may not see everything that's going on behind the scenes, but trust me, we're seeing these principalities tearing each other up, tooth and nail. Our job is to not get involved. So when you see those other agents getting involved, understand they want to emotionalize to jeopardize. We don't need to do that. We just need to keep our eyes focused. That's it. We just need to focus on doing the work of building with one another here and on the continent. That's it. Two sticks coming together. I had that discussion last week. Are the two sticks coming together? And now you're seeing, yes, we are. Because look at what they're doing to one another. Look at how they're cannibalizing one another. And that's all because the Most High is fighting our battles. We serve an awesome and heavenly Father who loves us, who loves his people. But all we need to do is just give him praise and love him back and desire him back. It's a very simple equation. It's a very simple formula. So with that said, I've been running my mouth for over 3 hours. Rewatch this, family, because there are some golden nuggets in here. If you were late, you better rewatch. You need to share this, because there's a lot of golden nuggets. And now you're starting to understand how the Most High is moving. Even my head is spinning. Trust me. Hallelujah. So with that said, family, Most High willing, I may not be on tomorrow. My brother comes into town for my son's graduation. So I want to have you there on notice. So with Quest 2 Night Africa, it may be done by one of our board members that they just found out that they got thrown under the bus. Sorry, I just found out my brother was coming in early around this time. Hallelujah. pray, pray for our people. Pray for me. Pray for our families. Pray for one another. Love one another. If you didn't know, there's a lot of things going on. But understand, you serve an awesome and heavenly Father who loves all that call on his name. So with that said, family, shalom, salama, siemi, shalom, peace and blessings, Yasharel.